I have killed the same fly 6 times, or that is how it feels. You swat one over the fruit bowl, wipe the counter, and by morning 4 more are circling the bananas like nothing ever happened. Here is the part nobody tells you. Those flies did not come in through your window. They were born in your kitchen, 3 feet from where you are standing right now. And until you know exactly where, you will be swatting at the air for the rest of the summer. My name is Judah Chan. I grew up in my grandmother's kitchen, in a small house where the window over the sink was always open and the summers were long and wet. My grandmother cooked all day. There was always fruit on the counter, always something simmering, always a bowl of rice cooling by the window. And you would think a kitchen like that would be full of flies. It was not. She had one thing she did. It took her about 2 minutes. She kept a cut-off cup by the trash, and she changed what was in it every few days. And in all the years I sat at her table, I do not remember a single fly landing on my food. I did not pay attention back then. I was a boy. Flies were not my problem. Then I got my own home, and my own kitchen, and my own bowl of fruit on the counter, and the flies came. So I did what everyone does. I bought the spray, the can with the sharp smell that makes you open every window for an hour. It killed the flies I could see. The next morning there were more. I bought the little electric zapper that glows blue and sits on the counter. It caught a few. There were still more. I bought the store traps, the little cups with the sticky stuff, $10 for 2, and I set them by the fruit and waited. They caught almost nothing. And every one of these things had the same problem, which I did not understand for years. They were all fighting the flies I could see, and the flies I could see were never the problem. I spent, I would guess, $60 that first summer. Spray, zapper, refills, sticky cups. $60 to lose to a bug the size of a grain of rice. In my own kitchen. At my own table. Quick word before I go further. The old methods my family uses, there is more of it than fits in any one video. I gathered the whole of it into a book you can buy in our pinned comment below. The book is the long version. If you want it, it is there. I will not mention it again. So there I was, a grown man, losing a war to an insect the size of a grain of rice. And it made me think of my grandmother and that cup by the trash. So I called my mother and I asked her, what did grandmother put in that cup? And she told me. And I want to tell you, the answer was so simple, so cheap, so already in your cupboard, that I felt foolish for the years I had spent buying sprays and zappers and little sticky cups. It was not a product, it was food, something she already had in the kitchen for cooking, and it worked better than anything I had ever bought. But before I show you the cup, I have to show you the thing my grandmother understood that I did not. Because if you get this one thing wrong, no cup, no spray, no trap on earth will save you. Where do you think those flies are actually coming from? Let me tell you, because most people have it backwards. They think flies come from outside. They think one flew in the open door, and then another, and now there is a cloud of them. And if they could just keep the door shut, they would win. That is not what is happening. Those little flies you see over your fruit, the ones that move slow and drunk and never seem to land, they did not fly in from the yard. They hatched in your kitchen. From eggs laid days ago in a place you walk past 20 times a day and never look at. A single female fruit fly lays 500 eggs. 500, and she does not need much to do it. She needs a thin film of something wet and rotting, that is all. The slime inside your kitchen drain, the black grime you cannot see down there, that is a nursery. The sink strainer, where the food scraps sit. The little basket you empty maybe once a day, that is a nursery. The banana on the counter that has one brown spot, that is a nursery. The sponge by the sink that never quite dries. The beer can in the recycling with a swallow left in the bottom. The wine glass you did not rinse. The bag of potatoes with one soft one at the bottom. Every one of these is a place where a fly was born this week. So think about what the spray does. The spray kills the 10 flies you can see. But down in the drain, in the strainer, in the soft fruit, there are 500 more eggs about to hatch. You killed the 10. You did nothing to the 500. And here's the part that should bother you. A fruit fly goes from egg to a grown fly with wings in about 8 days. 8 days. So the batch that hatches tomorrow was laid last week, in a place you have walked past 100 times since. That is why the next morning there are more. You are not fighting flies. You are fighting a hatchery, and you keep swinging at the ones that already have wings. The English have a saying about closing the barn door after the horse is gone. This is worse. This is swatting the horse while 500 more are being born in the barn behind you. Here is the counter truth, and once you hear it, you cannot unhear it. You do not kill the fly, you kill the nursery. You take away the wet, rotting places where she lays her eggs, and you set one trap to catch the few adults still flying, and the war is over in about 3 days. Not because you are fast with a swatter, because there is nowhere left for the next batch to be born. My grandmother never swatted a fly in her life. She did not have to. She simply never let the nursery exist. And there is a second thing people get wrong, and this one costs them money. They buy a trap, they set it out, and it catches nothing, and they decide these traps do not work. But the trap did work. They just used the wrong bait for the wrong fly. Because there is not one kind of little fly. There are several, and they come from different places, and they want different things. The fly hovering over your fruit is a fruit fly, and she wants the smell of something sweet and fermenting. The fly crawling up your bathroom wall by the drain is a drain fly, and she does not care about your fruit at all. If you set a sweet trap for a drain fly, you will catch nothing and blame the trap. So the first thing is knowing which fly you have. And for the one over your fruit, the one that ruins summer in most kitchens, my grandmother's cup is the answer. So let me show you exactly what I do, in the order I do it. This is a weekend job the first time, and about 2 minutes a day after that. And the whole thing costs you almost nothing, because most of it is already in your house. The first step, and you must do this before you set a single trap, is the sweep. You walk your kitchen like you are hunting, and you find every wet, rotting place, and you shut it down. Pour a kettle of boiling water down the drain to loosen the slime, then a squeeze of dish soap and hot water again to clear it. Empty the sink strainer and scrub the basket. Do not just dump it. Scrub it. Take any fruit with a soft spot and either eat it today or throw it out and put the rest in the refrigerator for the week. Wring out the sponge and let it dry standing up or throw it away. Sponges are cheap and a wet one is a nursery. Rinse every can and bottle before it goes in the recycling. Check the bottom of the potato bag and the onion basket. Look inside your kitchen bin too, at the ring of grime under the rim where the bag does not reach, and wipe it with a hot cloth. That ring is a nursery most people never look at once in a year. This is the part nobody wants to hear because it is not a clever trick, it is just cleaning. But it is half the battle. My grandmother called it wiping the line. Every night before bed, one wipe of the counter, one empty of the strainer, one dry of the sink. 2 minutes. That 2 minutes is worth more than any spray you can buy. Now the trap. Here is what she used, and here is the whole thing. You need a small cup or a jar, wide at the mouth so the fly falls in easy, and a light color if you can, because they see it better. A cut-off plastic bottle works. An old yogurt cup works. An empty tuna can works. Into that cup you pour noodle soup base. In Japan we call it mensuyu. It is the dark sauce you use for dipping noodles, and every kitchen has a bottle of it, and it costs about $4 and lasts all summer. If you have the concentrated kind, the 2 or 3 times strength, you mix it half and half with water. If you have the thin, ready-to-use kind, you pour it in straight. You want about a finger of liquid in the bottom. That is it for the bait. And now the one trick that makes the whole thing work. The part people leave out and then wonder why it failed. You add 1 drop of dish soap. 1 drop, and you do not stir it hard. Here is why it matters, and this is the part worth rewinding. The smell of the soup base draws the fly in. She lands on the surface to drink. Without the soap, the surface holds her up like a little raft. She drinks her fill, and she flies away to lay more eggs. The soap breaks the surface. It takes away the film that floats her. So when she lands, there is nothing to stand on, and she sinks, and that is the end of it. The soup is the invitation. The soap is the door with no floor behind it. One without the other does not work. Use a plain dish soap, and if you have a citrus one, even better because the sharp lemon smell pulls them in. Do not use a mint soap. Mint pushes them away, which is the opposite of what you want in a trap. You set that cup right where the flies gather, by the trash, by the fruit bowl, by the drain. Not on the far side of the room, right in the middle of their traffic. And within a day, you will see them in the bottom of the cup. You change it every 3 or 4 days, because the liquid goes stale, and worse, if you leave it too long, the flies you caught can have their own eggs laid in them, and you have made a nursery out of your own trap. When you empty it, and this matters, do not pour it down the drain. That is exactly where they breed. Any eggs go straight back into the slime. Tie it up in a bag and put it in the trash outside. A $4 bottle of soup base will run this trap all season. Compare that to $10 or $15 for two store traps that catch less, or a monthly bill to a pest company for the same flies you can drown in a yogurt cup. You do the math on which one they would rather sell you. And if the trap catches nothing, do not blame the cup. Look at the fly. If it is over your fruit and it is not going in, check your bait is sweet enough and fresh. If it is by a drain and ignoring the cup, that is a drain fly. And for that one, you clean the drain and use a little vinegar instead of soup. Match the bait to the fly. That is the whole secret the store traps never tell you. I want to step back now and tell you why this matters more than a few flies over the fruit. Because I think it does. A kitchen without flies is not just a nicer kitchen. It is a cleaner one, a healthier one. Flies walk on the drain, and then they walk on your bread. They carry on their feet whatever they last stood on, and what they last stood on was rot. That is how they live. It is not a pleasant thought, but it is the reason a clean kitchen is not just about looks, and a house full of them wears on you in a way you do not notice until they are gone. That low hum of annoyance every time you sit to eat, the little wave of your hand over the plate that becomes a habit. Getting rid of them gives you your table back. It gives you the open window in summer, without the price that comes with it. My grandmother's kitchen was proof you can have both, the breeze and the quiet, if you know the 2 minutes that buy it. And here is the thing about doing it this way. It is safe. Truly safe. The whole trap is soup, water, and 1 drop of the same soap you wash your dishes with. If your toddler reaches up and knocks the cup off the counter, you have a spill to wipe up, not a poisoning to panic over. If your dog laps at it, it is soup and dish soap, unpleasant, not deadly. Compare that to the can of spray with the warnings all over the side, the one you are supposed to keep away from children and pets and food, sprayed in the one room where all 3 of those things live. My grandmother never once worried what was in that cup, because she had made it herself out of things she cooked with. She set it on the counter next to the rice, next to where the children ate, and never gave it a second thought. That peace of mind is worth something, and you cannot buy it in a can. Now let me be honest about one thing, because there is a folk trick going around, and I do not want to sell you a lie. You may have seen a clear bag of water hung in a doorway, or a bottle of water set on the step, and been told it keeps the flies away, that the light bending through it confuses them. I have tried it. My neighbor swears by it. The truth is, the science does not hold up, and in a real test, it does no better than nothing. It looks like an answer, so people keep doing it. But a bag of water will not empty your kitchen. The cup will, and the wipe of the counter every night will. Do not spend your time on the pretty trick that does not work when the plain one that does is 2 minutes away. So here is what I want you to do tonight. Before you go to bed, do the sweep. Boil the kettle down the drain, empty and scrub the strainer, refrigerate the fruit, dry the sponge, rinse the cans. Then take any little cup, pour a finger of noodle soup base mixed half with water, and add 1 drop of dish soap. Set it by the trash. That is your whole night. 10 minutes, and most of it is just cleaning you were half meant to do anyway. By the day after tomorrow, you will start to see them collecting in the bottom of that cup, and by the weekend, the air over your fruit bowl will be still and quiet for the first time all summer. Tell me in the comments where you live and how bad your flies are right now. I read everyone. And tell me if you set out a cup, because I want to hear how it goes for you. The people in my family have known this for 3 generations. I am telling it to the folks who were never shown. Next time, I'm going to show you what my grandmother did for the flies that come up out of the bathroom drain, the ones the soup cup will never catch, because those are a different fly with a different weakness. And it takes one cheap thing from the pantry that is not the soup, and I will show you exactly how much and where to pour it. Until then, wipe the line, set the cup, and remember, you were never fighting the fly. You were fighting the place it was born.